that should... What? Check. Yeah, we're good to go.
Live?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
With the flashing Spider-Man in front of me.
Yeah, totally.
Alright, everyone, FusedVR coming at ya.
Hassan here.
And today, get pumped, because we got to be Spider-Man in VR.
Yeah, you're.
And we're not even doing the Homecoming one. We're making our own, because we're that cool.
Yeah, it's funny how it turned out, because we were talking about it earlier in the week, and we were stoked about the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. Then we decided that that's what we were going to do for the stream, and then boom, the Homecoming experience also comes out, which is a great one. So if you guys haven't tried it, you should definitely check it out. It's a little on the short side, but it's really polished and really solid.
So yeah, plan for this stream is we have the repository on GitHub, so you can check out whatever we built, and we'll just kind of walk through kind of how it was done. And after that, we'll bring on the creator of The Price of Freedom, which is a really cool, short VR experience that I'm not going to spoil anything. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Get excited for this one, because it's super awesome. And I'm going to jump in VR now.
Yeah.
You explain this.
So what you guys are seeing is he's just in this basic scene right now. There are so many drones because we've left this running for a while.
Unplug that. Because I just realized it's using
this one right here.
This guy.
Right.
Yeah. Unplug. We're ghosts now, and then replug that in.
Yeah. So what he's seeing is a demo scene that we created for this, and around him there are these drones spawning, and he gets.
There we go. All right. Mixed reality is working.
Those red like webs that you're seeing are indicating where the drones are coming from. So that's his Spidey senses. And then once he sees those drones, he can shoot a web shot at them, and then they get ensnared in a web, and they disappear.
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
I was just blind.
So we might have some tweaking.
I don't
to do
have the force with me, so that one's
on the web.
So yeah, if it's all of them around me, it's actually straight behind me.
Yeah.
My Spidey sense is horrible.
There are four axes, so it's up, right, left, and down, and usually it tells you the direction that one's coming from. If all of them go off, then it means that it's coming from behind you. But we'll be walking through how we built this and some tweaks that you can do in the stream.
Oh, right. I keep turning my head and then not actually like paying attention to the Spidey sense.
Yeah, so there's some tough parts around that. We'll definitely talk about it. It's a tough design issue. How do we make these Spidey senses work the best that we can? Alright, so let's jump into this. Also, we have, if you're just joining in the chat, we have a debate question going. If you have a vector 2 that's 0, 0 in its coordinates, and you normalize that, what should Unity give you back? That's something that we're going to have going as an ongoing conversation.
You'll find out at the end.
Yeah, so we'll check at the end, and we're even open to making bets on it if people want to venture into that. So I'm going to jump into talking about this scene. So what you see here is I have this pre-configured scene. I got this off of the asset store. If you just search for city scenes and look for something free, because we love that, you should be able to find this. So let's talk about this scene at a high level. So we have this spawn game object that's controlling this circle that drones are coming in from. And then on our camera rig, we have the majority of what's actually going to be handling the Spider-Man interactions. So let's jump into that one first, this spawn circle. This one, it's not very Spider-Man specific. It's just a basic routine for spawning things in a circle around the player. So again, you can find all of this on GitHub. The keys here are that we're starting this spawn cycle coroutine in the start method, and all this is doing is it's running this routine to get an actual spawn position, so you can see that down here. And the way that we're doing that is, first we want to figure out relative to the player, so like left and right, what are the positions that we want to spawn these drones at. So we're calling random inside unit circle, and then we're normalizing that so that we can actually get a point on a unit circle around the player. Then we multiply it by the spawn sphere radius so that we can expand out that circle. So this is going to give us an x and y because it's a vector 2 that we're using. Then we want to have a vertical bump for our drones, and that's what we use this vertical offset for. We're just picking a random number between 0.5 and 2.5. The part that's a little confusing is how we convert the vector 2 and this vertical offset into an actual spawn point. So what we do is we create this vector 3 that's going to represent the spawn point, and it has the x from the planar offset as its x coordinate, but its z coordinate, which determines like left and right, or sorry, forward and back, is actually the y from the planar offset, and that's because planar offset's a vector 2, so it only has an x and y. It has no z value. Then for the y, we use that vertical offset. So that's a little bit tricky, but if you just read through it and go slowly, should make sense. Then the last thing we do is we just add that spawn offset to wherever our player is, and we use that using camera.main.transform.position. So you can see that in action if we hit play, and let's get a top-down view of our scene. So you'll see that the drones are being spawned from a bunch of different positions in a circle around the player. So there comes one there, then another there, and so on. So if you want to make that circle bigger or smaller, all you have to do is change the spawn radius. So I'm going to change it to 1, for example, and now they should be spawning from a lot closer. Let's check it out. Yeah, so now that one looked like it was really close. That one was really close too. They're basically spawning on top of the player at this point, and that doesn't work very well. You won't have time to react to them. Okay, so we talked about how we spawn the drones, but once we actually spawn them, what is determining how they behave? So for that, let's check out in our project folder, or in our project panel, we have a prefabs folder. Actually, it's in enemies. I think it's in sci-fi. This is something that we also got off of the asset store, so you could check that out. In characters, we have this drone prefab, and we call this a sense object because we want to sense, like we put sense object on anything that we want to trigger our Spidey sense. What is going to happen, just to look at it like a mile-high view of how a sense object works, is that we determine the position of it, and then based on that position we find where it is relative to the player, and we'll trigger the correct Spidey sense on this canvas that we have basically stuck to the player's like camera in VR. So if we spawn to the left, we're going to turn on this signal that we have on the left side of the canvas. If it spawns to the right, we'll go with the right. If it spawns behind us, what we decided to indicate that is we'll turn on all of the indicators, so there's an up and a down one too. And if it spawns in front of us or in our view, we don't turn on anything. So no Spidey sense triggers if you can see the object. Alright, so actually controlling these drones is pretty simple. We have this move toward target method that basically takes a transform that's going to be our target. It determines the direction towards that transform, and then we just apply a force so that it will fly in a beeline towards the target object. So the only key points to keep in mind here is that on this rigid body, you're going to want to, you could make it so that it doesn't use gravity, otherwise it's going to fall as it flies towards the player. Or if you check is kinematic, that will make it so that all of its physics are determined via scripting, and then again it won't fall, but you'll be able to determine all of its motion within this method. So keep that in mind. You either need to check off gravity or make it a kinematic object. Okay, so let's see, any questions so far?
I have a question from Our Real Studios. Our Real Studios did we add the web shot into this one?
Web shot.
So swinging mechanic?
Oh yeah, so our web shot is not the swinging mechanic. If you guys want to see that, let's see if I could pull up we have an example of a swinging mechanic. I'll pull that up. But we didn't add that into this tutorial. So what you could do though, if you're feeling bold, is you can go onto our YouTube channel. You can get this tutorial and the other one and combine them so that you have a full-on Spider-Man game. Let me find where we have the web slinging mechanic. Here it is, building Spider-Man swinging mechanic from scratch. So if you check out this one, then you'll be able to do the swinging, And then if you add that with what we're going to build today, you'll have Spidey senses and the ability to shoot out these web blasts that can ensnare objects. Yep, so there's that one.
I posted it in the chat if anyone remembers the story.
Cool. Any other questions?
No, we were just talking about the, well, one, I got a really good bit of you on Insta. I'll show you later.
Nice. So
and then we're just talking about the Spider-Man swinging mechanic.
Alright, awesome. So we'll keep going with this then. So the next thing I want to talk about is what we do with these drones once we've hit them with a web shot. And then the last part that I'll talk about for the tutorial is how we made Spidey senses work and some potential improvements there. So for the web shot, we're shooting out on the press of the grip button, just the capsule collider, and when it hits one of the sense objects, we spawn this like web around it. And I'm going to show you guys that in action. So let's jump back into Unity. Like, need to get the vibe going. Hey, Fuseman?
What's up?
Looks like I think the vibe may have been disconnected.
Oh, is it just not?
It's not tracking.
Oh, it's this. Wondering if this is the issue. The classic. Oh wait, no.
Get removed.
I'm wondering if it did or not. Oh. Let's see. There's all these changes. Why is it not getting added? I am hitting add, right?
This is on 2.
Go ahead and... Wait, but this is the original project that was literally working, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it could be, you know what it is? It's probably the mixed reality mode is messing it up, as always.
Yeah, it's tricky. So many mixed reality streaming, Unity.
So, how about now? Yes, no.
Still not on.
Tricks controllers. Oh wait, it's connecting.
Oh,
there it is.
Oh, good.
Mixed reality, breaking things left and right.
See if this is working now. We also have some tracking issues. My head is too big for this headset. Alright, now I finally got this thing on. So what I was going to show you was the encasing that I was talking about. So let me find one of these things to shoot. Going in and out of tracking right now. So there we go. I'm going to shoot this thing, and you see that that web popped around it. You can shoot this one. Again, another web, and we also have a slight particle effect that we pop onto it too. So the way that we do that is actually with just something that's pre-configured in the project. We built this, we didn't find it on the asset store, but you can see it inside of assets in the prefab script, or prefabs folder, and it's this web sphere object. So let's zoom in on this. And this does a few things. So we're going to create this whenever one of the sense objects gets hit. And when it gets created, first off, there's this particle effect that triggers. And on top of that, this has a script inside of it that handles some extra features. So it has this audio source on it that creates this. It's interesting. The file that we used was off of Freesound, and it's actually a ripping sound, but it turns out that that works pretty well also for like a web kind of ensnaring sound. So that's what we're using for the audio source. So we play that whenever this web encasing gets instantiated, and then we also spawn a bunch of quads that we have attached to this web encasing script, and you can see those quads in the same folder as the web sphere. So it's just let's bring one of these over. They're pretty small because we didn't want them to be too overbearing, but I'll blow this one up so you can see. It's just literally a web texture that we've repeated on a quad, And what this will do is we spawn a bunch of them on top of this web sphere to add some unevenness to the web and make it look a little bit more organic. Now the drawback is that we spawn like 200 of them, and those are all transparent, so the graphics performance definitely takes a hit. Like if you spawn a bunch of these web spheres, you'll start to notice some lag. So what you could do to fix that is spawn fewer web quads.
Can you actually show that in the profile?
Yeah, we could show it. So let's see.
Why not?
So here's with one. Let me pop open the profiler. There's actually a lot of ways that we could see it. So if we go into stats, we just have one there. There's one.
Or do you want me to shoot some?
No, just look at them.
Oh, yeah.
So these.
Too cool.
Yeah, so where's the headset? Can you make it look at wherever those are?
Where are they? There.
What's there? Yeah, so you see that so when he's not looking at them, there's the FPS not so bad. So it's saying, like, I mean, it's going between different values here.
Yeah,
Now look at one of them.
That is one of them, right?
Oh, that's one of them right there. Okay, yes. Let me now create multiple of these.
Duplicate galore. It drops.
And all of a sudden, the frame rate goes a lot down. I mean, we could just absolutely obliterate this if we wanted to by just spawning a bunch of these. And the reason why is that, you know, these quads, they're transparent. That's the material that we put on them. It's a particles additive material. And so those are pretty costly. What we do as a solution is we destroy an object like a few seconds after it's been hit with one of these. You could also change the model. Like if you build in some randomness onto your web sphere, then you won't need to spawn those quads. So those are two solutions that come to mind.
Do you have to make them transparent, or could you do a cutout shader?
You could probably try that too.
There's no like semi-transparent, right?
On the web?
Yeah.
Or
could you just like, yeah, because if you just did a cutout shader and it's like pure, it's 100% transparent or versus not, that could save a lot.
That's a good point. I didn't even try that. That could work. Or, I mean, I guess it depends on the webs. Like in that case, then
actually,
the web
now, right?
would not be.
The material. Oh, you have to just set the material.
Yeah. So it's.
Oh, this is particles. Never mind.
Well, these are not particles, so I think that we could make it work. Where is the cutout shader?
It's in standard.
Standard
at the top, and then switch the render mode from opaque to cutout.
Cutout. All right, let's check how that works out then. Make sure.
So as long as it's not if it's not an actual particle, then you should be fine.
Yeah. All right, let's test it.
YOLO. You could actually probably even do unlit cutout. That might work even better.
So here we have.
Where is it? Ow.
You see it?
Is that it?
Looks a little different.
What in the world? It looks like a pile of trash.
What does it look like in VR?
Let's see.
Alright, you guys came for Spidey senses. You're getting some optimization too along with it. Does that look
It looks
good?
like a pile of trash. That's what it looks
Yeah,
like.
it looks like the black is still appearing on it.
What if you do transparent instead?
Let's see. Transparent here?
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Let me just pull that prefab into the scene view. That might help. Is that better? No, it still looks a pile of trash.
Yeah, so we're still getting that black background. I don't know of a way to fix that. The approach that I was going with was using just the particle shader, which is why there was the performance.
What if you do unlit, maybe? Because I don't think that one's actually lit.
Unlit transparent cutout?
Yeah.
Alright, let's check this one. Well, it's not gonna spawn those.
Oh, it looks better though. Ish.
We still have some. It's not as bad as before, but
at least, yeah, you can.
It kind of works. I don't think that would actually look bad.
Wait, is there a reason for the quads on there?
The quads are just to add like aberrations, randomness to it. Let me move this closer. Floating web.
Ooh.
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost spider web. It's getting closer.
Yeah, this doesn't look as bad as before.
Yeah, and I'm trying spawning a bunch of these.
Okay, here we go. Time for the test.
Time to get sick.
So we're at 130, 140-ish right now, at least in the editor. Spawned a bunch of these. It should be. It's definitely dropping.
It drops a frame every. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now you're. This is at 30 in the editor, so probably not doing so well.
I don't get sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best solution for this is at the model level, just to add some imperfections to the sphere.
How many quads do you have on there?
Like 300.
Oh, okay, that's
so,
fine. Yeah.
So add imperfections to the sphere, and then you won't need to spawn as many quads. And the place that we're spawning those quads, it's in the web encasing. You see here we pick a random number between 200 and 400. But if you've already added some randomness to the sphere, you can drop this to like, I don't know, maybe like 100 or 50. You can get away with a lot less than this.
So we got a question from Roland. How would you make the drones fly to a random position on your body, not just the head, but also not the entire SteamVR area? So the way.
Well, random position on your body, I would just get them to go to your head, and then do a add random noise to that. Like probably make it. You don't want it to go any higher. Yeah. So like add something lower.
The other thing you could do is if you have like an avatar body. Am I even on camera? If you have an avatar body, one thing you can do is if you actually have the mesh and then have colliders on that, then you'd be able to like just pick a point on that collider and shoot towards that.
Yeah.
But you'd probably want something like Final IK, which is actually I ended up buying it a while ago. It's actually really good.
Let's see. So at the point, let's see, where are we doing? Move to our target. So it would be right here. This is the position that we're having it fly towards. So you would just add some offset to that. So what it could look like is 3. We'll call this random body position, and set that equal to tar, and then we can add or tar's position, and then we want to add just the height offset. For example, if you want it to move along the body, so we can just pick some random offset, float y equals random dot range, and we should go between probably about like -5 to 5, and then random this is not a good name for this, so rand y offset, and then we just add that to the position, and then here, let's see, oh, so I don't think that it will let us set that. Let's see what the bug there is. Y offset, oh, naming. Alright, so there we go. And then for the position, here instead of tar.position, we would just do random body position. So now they might be flying right at you where your head is, or they might fly a little bit down if we end up picking something like -5f. So if you wanted to have a random body position, that's just how you could randomize the Y. You could also add some noise to the lateral direction too. So if you're interested, that's how you could do that. I don't think that you're going to be able to see that many changes at the actual scene level. Like, this is something that's so subtle that I don't think you'll really notice it. It looks like that one went really low. That one also went low. I'm going to make this a little more obvious. by changing this value. So let's make it go from -1 to 1, and now they should be flying a little more all over the place. So you can see that one ended up going pretty high. It went over the player. And then if we make it more extreme, that one went pretty low. So yeah, that's how you would do that if you want to randomize it on the Y, and you could also do the same with the X and the Z. So let me get rid of these, and we're almost done with the time that we have for this stream, so I want to jump into how we actually do the Spidey senses. So I think that's the most interesting part. So tar.position, this all looks good. Yeah, so let's talk about Spidey senses. So to recap what we've done so far, we talked about spawning, and then we also talked about how when an object gets hit, we spawn that web encasing around it, which is just a sphere that also spawns some quads. So Spidey senses. The magic starts with on the head, on the head of the camera rig, we have this canvas. And the canvas itself has this up, down, left, and right object, and these each have what we call a sense bar. So the sense bar is what toggles on and off those webs that you see on the side of the player's vision. So when we spawn a sense object, you can see in here that we call sense object on the Spidey sense script that we have. So let's jump to that. There, what we do is the first thing we want to check if this object is actually in our view, and what we do is we call this method test planes on it. And if you want to see more of how this works, you should check out our Medusa tutorial. We go into more depth on how you can make this more fine-tuned, but this is just a rough check of if the object is actually in the camera's view perspective. If it's not in the camera's view, then we want to toggle one of the Spidey senses. So that's a design choice that we made. If you can see the object or roughly see it, because again this doesn't work perfectly, then we don't spawn or don't show any senses. But if it is if it's outside of your view, then we do turn on the Spidey senses. So we handle that inside of this toggle senses method, and this is where the meat of the interesting part of this prototype come in. So the first thing that we do, and you can see in the comments if you just want to read through it, is we get a normalized vector pointing towards the object that triggered our Spidey sense. You can see us do that here. The reason why it's important that it's normalized is we use that to figure out the direction that this thing is coming from. So I explained that in this commented code here. But what's awesome is that once we've normalized it, we know that the magnitude of that vector is 1. So the x, y, and z component, they all have to contribute according to this equation here to a magnitude of 1. So what that means is that like if the x is very positive, like if it's a 1, then we know that the y and the z are zeros. So that means that x is the axis that the object is coming from, and because x is positive, we know that it's coming from the right. If y is positive, then if y was 1, then it would be coming from up. And you can read here for more details on it. What's really cool about this is that if you go online, there are tons of questions around like, how do you figure out what direction an enemy is coming from? We found a bunch of these on different Unity forums, so let's check some of them now. This is one of the coolest part about making these prototypes. This is specifically a Spider-Man prototype, but what we're actually building is something that just detects what direction is an object coming from. So let's see here. This person, they want to detect an enemy in an effective way. People talk about how they handled it with raycasts. So you want to be able to detect different directions that the enemy is coming from, or maybe you want to detect where something is spawned. You might want to detect where your player was hit from. All of those cases are like use cases where you can use this code that we've built. So let's see what else. Determine if an enemy is on left or right hand side. you can check out different ways that people did this, but our solution is inside of this toggle senses script. And basically, we're checking, is it really far behind us by using the Z coordinate? And if it is, then we're turning all of the Spidey senses on. And then we have a threshold that we've defined for the right and left. And if the X or Y are above a certain value on this normalized vector, then we're going to assume that it's coming horizontally or vertically. So the last point is that we call set sense on these like these different sense bars that we have. So you can see that I have a game object here for the horizontal senses, and the vertical senses, those are in different arrays. So once we've determined what axis the object is coming from, then we toggle the appropriate sense, and that's inside of the it's inside of whatever we called the sense objects script. So we can see it in sense bar. All we do is we instantiate this new object, we get the component on it, which is an image, and then we have that exist for a certain time before we destroy it. So for every time that you see one of those spider webs, what's actually happening is we've decided to create a game object at that point. So those are two game objects. We have them exist for like 1 or 2 seconds. I think we set it to 1. Then we destroy it and we go all over again. So there's a lot of architecture that's making that happen, but if you want to dive more into it than just our overview, either drop a comment, you can find us on social, or you can also read through all of the code that we commented. So that's everything for what we wanted to review. Again, there's a ton of detail because there are a lot of different moving parts to this, but we have Chuck here from Construct Studio, and we're excited to talk about the price of freedom soon. So I want to close this out by seeing if do we have any questions?
More just kind of things that we want to see in the future, specifically around like real-time mocap and stuff like that.
Oh, real-time mocap. Huh.
With Final IK. Let's go ahead and swap this out. Not this guy.
Alright, cool. So we're closing this out, and you guys can check out all of this again on GitHub. Let us know if you have any questions.
Alright. Move the headsets out of the way.
How's it going? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Long time.
Yeah, seriously. I think it was OC3?
Yeah, OC3. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, I'm just switching this out. I think we're good to go here. But, cool. So, switching over to our creator chat, and super excited to have Chuck here, who made I think one of my favorite, actually, VR apps. It's called The Price of Freedom. I put a link in the chat. You can go check that out. And let's just do this with a spoiler warning so that we can talk about everything, because I think it deserves one. And okay. So basically, concept is, yeah, big spoiler warning, so you've been warned. I'll put a big flash here in the video. But the idea of it is that you are this agent, Agent Zero, and with it, you go through this mission, kind of it's mission made by the CIA, and you're supposed to assassinate someone. That turns out to be your dad, and you turn out to be this agent that's been brainwashed to kill your dad. That's just kind of the basic premise of it. I'll let Chuck explain a lot more kind of about the ideas behind it, the detail. I think it's a really cool story, and definitely go check it out for yourself. It's like a short 10-15 minute-ish experience, but I think it's really, really well done.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, even if we just spoiled the story for you and you haven't tried it, still check it out. It's very well made. A lot of interesting parts that we're going to dive into.
Yeah, so I'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah, let's do it. Chuck, you could take that seat right
See
there.
this right here? Okay.
Put you in the spotlight.
You mean sit it?
Oh,
yeah, the other
one.
one.
Yeah,
this one? Okay.
Getting the spacing right with our chairs. All right, so welcome, Chuck. Again, we're really stoked about The Price of Freedom. One of the coolest things we've tried. Love the storytelling and the interactive components of it too. So just starting, before we dive into The Price of Freedom, like how did you get started with creating VR content?
So most of our teammates from Construct Studio are from Carnegie Mellon University, and we have a department called Entertainment Technology Center. Basically, it's anything about entertainment, anything about technology. It's so basically we make games, make animation for cutting-edge technologies. So the first semester, when we go inside, we have a class called Building Virtual World, and our professor for that is Jesse Shell, who's the the VR developer, the CEO of Shell Games, which create a really famous Oculus DK2 game called I Expect You to Die.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of knowledge to create VR games, and because we are dealing with all kind of cutting edge technologies, so but VR is always the hottest topic that everyone wants to use that to make games or make experiences.
Yeah.
So and then after the first semester, so we make games every 2 weeks and just brainstorming.
wow.
Yeah, like 5 people, 2 programmer, 2 artists, 1 sound designer, and then we just make a game in 2 weeks. And Jesse Shaw will give us a topic about which direction we are going. Maybe storytellings. Maybe this is you need to lead the player from A to B, something like that. And every 2 weeks we switch up teammates. And after that semester, I was lucky to be chosen to in a VR project called Project Hypnos, and we create a narrative VR film called Imago. So and we got into SIGGRAPH 2016. We also sold ticket. We also selling ticket in Toronto. There was a Palma Cinema called Vivid, and we also got honorable mention for Unity Vision Summit last year. And was like, yeah, I think. And after that, I went. The next project I worked on was on Project Tango, Google Project Tango.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
Is it Go 10? Go
10, yes. So Tango, and because we need to name ourselves, our team, so we call it Go 10, so people can understand what that is. And basically, it's using Tango, and everything in front of you in the whole room, Tango will make everything become blocks.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like a lot of people say it's like what's that called? Minecraft.
Yeah, I remember.
And you use your hands, you use your legs to interact with the world, to create a garden with your own interaction. And then after I graduate, before I graduate, I drove from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is Carnegie Mellon's main campus, to Silicon Valley. Here, and with my it's a long drive. We spent 11 days.
Why didn't you take a plane?
Because so my card is like $7,000, and the shipping is like $1,000, and I don't want to spend that much because it doesn't worth it. So I just really drive it.
Easier to bring the Vive too, or Rift.
Yeah. But it wasn't. The Vive wasn't out yet. That was like 1.5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But on the way, that was 2 years ago. On the way, I was driving with my co-founder Joe Ogden, but we didn't decide. We didn't decide we're going to start a company. But on the long way, we just keep talking about, because he was also a teammate from Imago, the narrative VR film.
Cool.
So along the way, we just keep talking about we should start a company, and we should start a VR company. Talk about a lot of ideas. But then eventually we decide to start Construct Studio a year ago, which is almost anniversary next week, like nice. July 12th.
Happy early anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason why we started this company is not because we have a great idea or something. It's because I think I found the right people, and then Amy joined us, Larry joined us, and we have a solid team right now.
Yeah. And
that's the reason why we like to create things. So that's what we are doing now, and we are really happy about it.
Cool. Well, that's a lot of different VR projects. Sounds really cool. So there is Imago. You worked on the AR Tango project.
Yeah, we call it mixed reality.
Yeah. But, definitely. Mixed reality.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There are too many terms.
But the cool thing about that project, I remember, it's really awesome. Like it's you really do feel like there are blocks in the world, and you're kind of trying out this other thing. So if anybody has something that can run Tango projects, that's a really cool one that I recommend trying out. Yeah, we released January 2016, I think. I'm not sure if it's still there because the hardware already updated. I'm not sure if it's still on the Play Store, but I think you can find it somewhere. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to point out that the people that you've learned from, it sounds like, are really awesome too. So ETC at the CMU
Yeah.
Silicon Valley campus.
Yeah.
You said that you learned from Jesse Shell there too.
Yeah.
So now we have Chuck here who's learned from all of them, and you guys can learn from him. So definitely be active with the questions. We'll open up for those after. Huh?
We already have several.
Cool. Sounds like we already got some
Well,
questions.
actually, I also want to mention another professor we have. His name is Stone Labrendi, which is the lead game designer at Riot Games.
Cool.
And he's also one of our professor. And I learned game design both from Jesse Shell. I took his class, game design, because we have 2 game design class. One is from Jesse Shell,
Yeah.
and one is from Stone Labrendi. And they are really awesome game designers.
Yeah.
And they give talks every year at GDC. So
Nice. You also, I know that we were first introduced, I think, well, Tony first mentioned you to me.
Mhm.
So Tony Parisi, who's now at Unity. And I also saw at the end of The Price of Freedom that one of your special thanks was to Carl, is it?
Carl Rosendale.
Rosendale,
Yeah.
who's also a big name in the, especially graphics industry. I think
Yeah.
he founded
PDI.
PDI.
And then
yeah.
eventually sold to DreamWorks. And yeah, so
Yeah,
he's...
so lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so and also Carl Rosendale is now our professor at ETC as well.
Nice.
So he's the director of Silicon Valley campus, which is the campus is embedded in electronic arts. So we get to in talks with professionals when we are still student.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like we got feedback from EA people. I play basketball with them every week. I'm still playing with them, which is they're fun people.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I want to go more into like talking about The Price of Freedom and also some of the projects that you've worked on. So
Yeah.
Listening in now and throughout our channel, we have a lot of people who are just getting started with VR and AR development.
Yeah.
If you could kind of take yourself back to when you first started and where you are now, like, are there big tips of advice that you would give to people who are trying to create VR or AR content?
Yeah. So because The Price of Freedom, we really focus on storytelling.
Okay.
And we actually killed 3 prototypes along the way. So The Price of Freedom we released on Steam, that's the 4th prototype. Because so it didn't work in the beginning because people just like to throw things in VR, and they just lose what we want them to focus, the storytelling part. So and then we just keep playtest. So if you want to do VR content, I think the most important part is playtest. Just keep playtesting and see if the mechanism works, if they interact with the thing you want them to interact.
Mhm.
And so for the storytelling part,
Huge.
that's huge. Yeah. So user testing, playtest, that's what we always focus when we're in Carnegie Mellon University.
Yeah.
And that's what Jesse Shell told us all the time. That's the playtest is the most important part.
So I want to add in, that really shows on the Price of Freedom, because FusedVR and I were talking about it earlier. Something that the experience does really well is it's driving you along a linear narrative. Like what's going to happen is predetermined. It ends in a way that's already decided, but you still have some freedom to like interact with stuff. It doesn't really feel forced, but when you think about it deeper, and you guys can see after you try it, or think about it now if you have tried it, is there is a lot of, it seems like, intentionality to like each scene and each moment. Like, it doesn't make you feel like you have to do the thing, but you can tell that it was built in a way that's like there is some constraint to it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that must be tough though, because in a lot of other experiences I've tried, I felt too constrained. But you're also talking about how early on, like, people were doing too much.
Yeah.
So how do you balance those?
So in game design, Jesse Shell called it indirect control. Basically, you feel like you have the freedom to do whatever you want, but we are slightly tell you what to do. Like giving you, for example, you see the document, you will look at it, or you see a key. You will know you have to find a hole to open the door or open that's called, we call it indirect control. Basically tell you this thing that's connection, so you will intuitively do what we want you to do.
So this is indirect control.
Indirect control.
Concept?
Yeah,
Okay.
indirect control. So like a lot of time they will just tell you what to do, but that will lose the fun for users. So we just keep testing and see what object works with other object, and people will do when we test it, then we don't know. Oh, so this thing they will do this thing.
Yeah.
Then we should combine this to become a event that can work together.
Yeah.
So that's.
So it sounds like for the indirect control piece, that what you started with, like talking about the importance of user testing and getting people to try it out, like that was key to making sure that people actually did do what you wanted them to do.
We just keep testing with
things.
With different people, not just one person, but a lot of people, and see if the mechanism works.
Cool. So far we have testing with a lot of people, making sure that the mechanics work. Sounds like with the price of freedom, early on people were doing too much, and then we also have this concept of indirect control, so inviting people to do things without actually forcing them to. Could definitely keep going with this, but should we cut it short for questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we know that we expected that we would have a lot of questions organically from all of you, so I'll cut my questions short and we can jump to those.
Looking there, but yeah, let's go ahead and start with how did you come up with the story for the price of freedom?
Just water. If you
Thank you. So this is really interesting. So my co-founder Joe Ogden, he's actually a veteran, a U.S. Army veteran. He went to Afghanistan, chased after Bin Laden, but eventually he fell because only the last one succeed. But after that, he came back and then go to RIT to learn art, learn modeling. And he's always about, this conspiracy theories, and Project MK Ultra is a really good. There's a lot of events, and he's always interesting about this. So he came up with this idea, and just like we are going to let people experience what happened in 1950s to 80s. So do you know this is a true story? It's based on.
I did not realize it was based on a true story.
So
that makes us a lot more interesting.
Yeah. So
it was already really cool.
It's really interesting. So Project MK Ultra was a CIA's mind control programs in 50s to 80s. And they tried to use LSD and all kinds of drugs to mind control people, to make people become assassins, also become hookers, try to get information from other people. So we already lay out everything about Project MK Ultra. CIA recently declassified those documents and released it. That's why we get the document. So in the story, most of the documents are based on the true document. We tweak a little bit, but most of them are true.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the project, all the operations on there are true.
That's crazy, because when I was going through it, I remember thinking like, whoa, this is too nuts to actually be real. But
it's real. It's real.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting.
Even the names are real also?
We tweak in the name, but the person really exists. Like the Dr. Angle, there's one Dr. Angle that. So right now we laid out the whole Project MK Ultra, and we are looking for the most interesting thing, and we are doing an episodic series.
Yeah.
So the next one, what we're going to do is, so the story you just tried, that's in 1961.
Yeah.
And we're going back to 1950, which that was the Soviet and U.S. trying to make a truth drug. So the story started from there. And then eventually become mind control, because I want to do the truth drug, and then everything just mess up, become a mind control program. Yeah, I want going back to that.
That's good to hear. So one of my questions was going to be what's coming next, and I'm really stoked to hear that it sounds like more along the same narrative line.
Yeah.
Cool.
But right now we are focused on one thing, which is it's called VRA. It's a cross-platform template-based pipeline tool that helps creators, storytellers, filmmakers, artists, all the creators to create content faster. So because we got this pain point, pain point when we are creating the press print in the beginning.
Yeah. And
for the door, we just want to make it perfect. Use with the hand gestures. Or the colliders, physics, it was really painful, and we take about a month or two to make it really perfect, very intuitive. Just want it intuitive and like open really intuitive, because sometimes you open it and then just 360 sometimes like that, and so we want to make everything become template and enable those people who don't know how to write code, like storytellers from Hollywood, filmmakers from Hollywood, they want to create something about storytelling. They can use VRA to create interactive content without writing codes.
Nice. Well, let us know when it's ready. Would love to share it with
We are making right now.
So sorry, go ahead.
I mean you can go to Construct the Studio, the website, our website, to sign up the to sign up, and we will let you know the update information about Vera.
Yeah, we'll definitely put a link to that in
Yeah.
the description for the video, so you can check it out there.
Yep, we'll do. And just kind of follow up onto that. I mean, we were talking a little bit before about VRTK. So like, how similar is that to VRTK, or is it completely different?
Yes. So this tool Vera is going to work on top of, Unity, Unreal, Maya, 3D Max. For example, you make a gun in Maya or in 3D Max, right? You always do that.
Yeah.
So normally you write some code to make it functional, make it shootable into Unity or Unreal. Right now, you still make a gun in Maya or 3D Max, or buy a gun from Turbo Squid.
Sure.
But you just tell Vera, say this is a gun, and where the trigger is, where the magazine is.
Got it.
Simply drag and drop into Unity or Unreal, it just work.
Cool.
So basically, it's we pre-write the script for you, and you can attach the template from any models you have. Doors, guns, flashlight, everything.
Yeah.
And we are also going to provide the content package, which is all the assets we have in the price of freedom, and sell as a content package. So anyone wants to create spy related content, they can just buy the whole package and then create interactive content without writing code. Just
that's really awesome.
Simply drag and drop.
Nice. Yeah, there's some really cool models in there, and the world that your team has built with the price of freedom, it's a cool one. There's lots of assets in there that I would want to get my hands on. The gun was solid.
Yeah.
I remember the point that sticks out to me the most is when the hand has the little
Yeah.
And
another spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys check out
it's already at the beginning of the video. It's too late for them now.
Yeah.
There's tons of great assets in there.
Yeah, and I forgot to answer your question. So VRTK, we're going to that will also work with VRTK.
Got it.
Yeah, so Vera will work with VRTK, and the first phase for us is we are going to make the Unity plugin and Maya plugin first to let them talk to each other, because Maya has the most users, Unity has the most users as well for game engine, and this is for creative tools. So this is our first pipeline, and then we are going to expand to all the creative softwares in the game engine to help people to create content with the software they want.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's do more questions.
Yeah. So another one here. This one should be easy. Is how many? So you mentioned it was like a 2-week project for the Price of Freedom. How many devs were working on that, or I guess how big was the team?
I mean,
I don't think Price of Freedom.
Oh, Price of Freedom was not. Oh.
So Chuck mentioned that at ETC, so again, that's a part of CMU. Part of their program was to work on, and correct me if I'm wrong, games in 2-week cycles.
Yeah.
So worked on a bunch of 2-week games.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Price of Freedom was not.
Yeah, it wasn't possible.
Either that or they were.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
If you look at the polish of it, it's not a 2-week project.
Yeah, but I can later on I can share some 2 weeks project we work on back in the day.
Nice.
2 3 years ago.
So then I guess the question really is how long did Price of Freedom take, and how many people were working on it?
So it's a 6-month project.
Okay.
We finished in 6 months. However, we I told you we kill 3 prototypes in the beginning. That takes around 3 to 4 months already.
Yeah.
So after that, we already have some basics that we can use, because we kill the prototype, but we still have some left. The leftover. So we use the leftover to create the Price of Freedom, and that takes another 2 to 3 months to finish it. So the whole cycle is 6 months.
Yeah.
From experimenting, user test, play test, and finish it.
Yeah.
That's 6 months.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the team size?
Our team size, so our core team is now 6 people, and we have 5 people on core team, but we got a lot of friends helping out, and also we got Chris Sabat, which is the voiceover for Vegeta at Dragon Ball Z. He helped us out. The Will Mason connect us. Will Mason upload, Kovala upload. He connect us with Chris Sabat, and Chris Sabat just like, I want to do VR. Let's work together. And then he also found, because we need 2 voiceover, the Benjamin Miller in the game, and also the Dr. Angle, we need 2 voiceover. So he also found Jason Douglas, which is from The Walking Dead, season 4.
Man, this is a star-studded.
Yeah, we are really excited now. Oh, this is like industry, everyone, if they watch anime, they all know Chris Sabat.
Yeah.
Maybe not Jason Douglas, but everyone knows Chris Sabat. And everyone just asks us, how did you get Chris Sabat? And I say, yeah, we'll connect us with them, and he just excited and just helping us out.
That's really awesome.
Isn't the voice of Vegeta also in some other VR?
I think so.
I don't remember what it is. but I thought he was also in another VR. Maybe I'm just confusing it with the Price of Freedom.
Maybe it's up.
I heard that he was in a VR experience
I'm
as a
blanking on the
voiceover,
name.
but I didn't know. I can't remember like you if it was
I think that's
Price of
us.
Freedom or a
Maybe.
different
That's the person. I think that's the person. I haven't. I don't think maybe because he's really interesting in VR. So I think he will.
Well, if someone in the
probably-
chat knows, then let us know. I'm watching it. Cool. So that was good to hear, and super cool to hear the voice actors. This one, let's see. Oh, so this one, I think you already answered this with Vera, but someone asked, like, is there a way to kind of compile these shorter experiences like Price of Freedom into, say, like a new dev team wants to build on top of it, or like creates a slightly different experience, and then kind of tie all of these together? Like, say, for example, with the Price of Freedom, that's chapter 1, and then you have, say, maybe the story of Agent Zero going on to, I don't know, the next mission or whatever it is, but that's created by some other team. Would there be a way to kind of, say, compile like 5 or 6 of these different experiences into one app to kind of make it a whole kind of collected experience?
Oh. You mean using Vera?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking maybe it's already
I think
put there with Vera.
is it about Vera? Correct me if I answer it wrong.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to sew it individually or as a bundle.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe the bundle.
Yeah. So it's like what Telltale game does.
Yeah.
You can buy 5 episodes in one time, or you can buy each episode every time. So we are using the same model as them, because so every story will be a standalone story. But if you want to learn more about Project MK Ultra, this crazy microcontroller thing, you can buy the whole thing and understand different time what's happening in different timing.
Sure.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I'm really excited for any expansions of it, and also to get my hands on those assets. Would be cool.
Yeah. We're excited. So our engineers, they are working on Vera. In the meantime, they are like excited about they are going to use this.
Yeah.
They are waiting. They want to build this to use it by themselves, and also in the meantime want to share with the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. All right.
More questions.
This is actually my own question, but I'm kind of interested.
Sneaking one in.
Yeah, of course I have to. So recently in the press, I think I see a lot of people asking for more kind of what they call interactive stories. But in my opinion, what I call that is a video game.
Yeah.
So kind of where I guess terminology-wise, how do you feel about it? Are these experiences more interactive stories? Are they more games, or is it something else completely?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So we got a lot of this question in the beginning as well, even in our internally. We're just debating about this is a experience, this is a game, this is an interactive storytelling experience. In the beginning, we call it interactive storytelling experience, and then we changed to interactive narrative. And then we changed to story-driven VR game, because sometimes people don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
Like for general public. So eventually we just call it game. But in a deeper mind of ourselves, we think this we call it interactive narrative, which is because we focus on storytelling really hard and want to make sure people understand that you are going to be the main character in the movie. You try to figure out who you are and where you are through actions. But we want to focus on the storytelling, to that the story is meaningful, and we think storytelling is always the key for any kind of experience, games experience, anything. But only the story can keep users engaged for the long way.
Yeah.
If it's just fun to play, maybe 5 to 10 minutes they're done. They're just like, oh, just story. That's not fun anymore. But storytelling can then engage them for a long way, and then and then give. That's why we give them the surprise at the end.
Yeah.
Which ones? This is what we want to do.
So it sounds like you said that internally the concept that you landed on is calling it a story or an interactive narrative.
Yeah, interactive narrative.
At what point then, like, what would have to change in the experience for you to say, no, this is no longer that, it's actually a game?
I don't think so from my humble opinion, we don't think it can call either way, because a lot of people say if it's interactive, it's a game.
Yeah.
But because VR is a new medium, even though it's already 3 years, 4 years, but it's still a new medium than normal platform like computers or console. So and I really don't like the word experience because it just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So, but if people want to call it game, just call it game. If you want to call it interactive storytelling experience, you can just call it that. I actually don't. We don't really care anymore. We
Yeah.
just want to make sure people understand it.
Yeah.
Then that's fine.
Yeah, I'm totally on
Yeah.
board with that. I think where it gets tricky though is definitely with the making people understand it part.
Yeah.
That's where it's hard, and you see a lot of that with VR, AR, MR, XR.
Yeah, I really hate XR. I don't want to say that word. Like I just don't understand.
No, I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Definitely some terminology overload, but I like your perspective of, try to do something that makes sense to other people, and then really after that, just focus on making really awesome content. And
Yeah.
it sounds like story, you're saying,
The
is a
storytelling
really key point.
we think is a key. And there's one thing very interesting I want to follow up. So we got 97% positive on Steam, which is like really good, like really positive feedback. But we got one negative feedback telling us that, so they say this is not a game, and then just give us negative.
Yeah.
So but at that moment we just say, yeah, we are not making a game, we are making an interactive storytelling experience. But eventually we just like rethink about it, like, yeah, you can, if you don't think it's a game, that's fine, but don't give a negative.
There are always trolls on the internet. There's nothing
Yeah.
to do about it, right? But it is interesting though, because Steam is generally meant for games,
Yes,
right?
yeah, that's so we understand that.
Yeah.
We understand what the user thought, so that's fine.
But like, I mean, maybe that means that there is a need for a platform that's not Steam, but has more of these narrative or kind of linear paths through these experiences. Although, I mean, video games also have linear paths. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You do have, I think, a lot more creative freedom than, say, maybe the Price of Freedom has, but still, like Mario, Zelda, they're all linear paths.
Yeah. They all have great stories.
Yeah.
Like Uncharted is also a good experience, a good example of a story-driven game.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
it's interesting. I don't know where the whole community is gonna fall on that.
I mean,
we'll
so HTC say the vibe port.
Yeah.
Vibe port, because the vibe port they want to your Steam is game, so they say like vibe port is more like an experience platform.
So that might be somewhere
Yeah.
that you're considering.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We already have published both on both already.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because we are part of Vibex
Got it.
Vibex Accelerator member, so this is like this is what we want to do as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so we got 2 more questions, and then I want to cut it because we're going already a little
Yeah.
long. But the first one was I'll start with the slightly harder one. How do you come up with a good story?
Ooh.
So that's I don't. You don't have to answer this because that's a really hard one.
Yeah.
How do you come up with a good story?
Because I know for Price of Freedom, it was driven by something that happened in the real world.
Yeah.
True story.
Conspiracy theory. That's how you do it.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it. And finding a good story. I mean, I think everyone is looking for good stories. You just need to. I think again, testing is really important and see if people like it.
Yeah.
Like talk show hosts, they always practice what they said before and see if people laugh.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing to VR, to stories. Just need to find a story. If you like the story, go test with other people and see if you like it. Put in the VR and see people like it. If they like it, then you just keep going.
I wonder if that part even needs to be done in VR. Like, could you
I don't
read
think
through the script and get the same effect, or give them just like a story,
Get some of it.
plot, and
Yeah.
outline?
So we have one thing called paper playtest. Basically, you use cardboard, not Google Cardboard, but normal cardboard, and make the item you want to be in VR, and just tell users, say, oh, this is a gun, this is the gun,
Yeah.
and this is the flashlight, and there's a key, that's a door. What would you do? Something like that, and using paper, because paper prototype save money, save time.
That's a lot easier than
And it works really well. And Jesse Show used that all the time, and in his company, that's what he told us as well.
So instead of cardboard, I mean, so we have creative tools like Tilt Brush Medium that make it even easier. And I don't know if that's even cheaper to do, but would that be something that you'd kind of start seeing as user testing?
Yeah, so Tilt Brush is a really good way to do concept art.
Yeah.
So we already have some. So actually, I have one friend. They also do Tilt Brush and then present to investor. Tell them this is what it will look like. Just
Oh.
draw a door over here. So this is what room look like. What's going inside? What's there in the room? And just draw concept, and it works really well. And I think we did a small playtest with Steel Brush as well, using just telling user that this is how it looks like, and what we are going to do in this, and see what they will do.
Cool.
Yeah.
And something you guys should also check out on the topic of prototyping and getting models really quickly or scenes quickly. Google just released Blocks this week.
Someone asked if
that one looks really promising. I used it actually just this morning for the first time. It's a bit rough around the edges. It's not perfect. It's just released, but it's really awesome. Like, I can see myself using that to prototype stuff that we do on our streams and in the different videos.
Yeah. I need to try it today.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Do it.
Okay, cool. Okay.
All right, so it's actually, now that I think about it, this last question might be even harder. What is your favorite VR experience?
Oh, man.
It could be really easy or really hard. That depends on you.
My favorite VR experience. So for experience,
or game, doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So my favorite VR game, let's say game first.
Sure.
So my favorite game is Fantastic Contraption.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it matched what VR really is. Like, you are building the world. It's like Lego, and you just creating. So it works for small kids. It works for adults. Like this is because everyone like to building, like build things, build things, create things, and that give you the all the freedom to create anything you want. Just you just need to match the goal. Just need to go reach the goal, and anything you do, just reach the goal. And I think that's the best way to do it. And there's one game really similar, which is Water Bear. Basically, you build.
Jesse Shaw made
that one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't VR game. They started.
Yeah. Same with Fantastic Contraption also. It was not.
Yeah. So I was surprised that it works that well.
Yeah.
And the Water Bear is so cute. But it's basically also a building. So build things in VR. And that's why VR is going to have a builder to let you, after you have everything interactive, and go inside VR and build whatever you want. Put things everywhere. Because I think we think that's the key element for that.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more building stuff in VR. I had never thought about it from the content side too, but you're right. A lot of the coolest content lets you build stuff in a virtual space too.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And
Cool.
for film. Mm-hmm. My favorite is Catatonic. From
I haven't tried that. I've heard good things though. I've heard good things.
I tried. So when we were making Imago, which is a wheelchair experience, we saw the Catatonic when we are creating it, and it's like, wow, they already created a wheelchair, and we're also creating a wheelchair, but we learned that because that they were moving in the scene, so make people a little bit dizzy. Because that's what VR will make you easy.
Yeah.
So we learn from them and know we cannot move too much in wheelchair as well. Yeah. But that one, I always use that one to scare all my friends. And I love the reaction, Not just people inside VR enjoy. I mean, they really not enjoy it. But the storytelling inside and the effect that the VR film come out is like fantastic.
Nice. So we definitely need to try that out. And it seems like there's a tip in there too, which is learn from other experiences.
Yeah. So if you are making a game, you just need to play other people's game and learn from them every week.
Yeah. So now it's your own user testing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. And then Aphoric mentioned Fantastic Contraption is a great choice. He really likes that. And Joe mentioned Modbox is another good example of constructing.
Yeah, Modbox. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna sneak in my last question here, which is, if there's someone else you'd want to see interviewed, who would that be?
Oh,
that one's that's even tougher. Or because I mean, obviously, a lot of you've talked to a lot of great people in VR already.
Yeah.
So
carving your own path too. So
yeah.
It's a tough question.
See yourself again.
That's a tough question. I might need to know who are the people you already interviewed.
So we have interviewed one guy's name's Vincent Chen. He's a student at Stanford, did some work with Microsoft on some of their VR stuff.
Yeah.
Also writes like a YC VR blog. Then last week we had the Stone Fox, creator of VRTK.
Yeah.
You're our third. Looking for where to go next.
I see.
Yeah.
Actually, I found I come up with someone. So because you said Vincent, so I remember. So Vincent from Vertebrae. So I'm because his company is working on advertisement in VR.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
gonna be an interesting one.
And because he started his company and raised $10 million for the first round, and got him into 30 under 30, Forbes 30 under 30, and I want to learn from him how he convinced investors, and what's his strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tilt brush may have been a part of it, but yeah. Beyond that, that's an interesting one, because you're right. Like with VR right now, it's in a lot of ways an unproven space. So getting that much investment, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I want to understand his strategy. Yeah.
Well, if someone in the chat can get us in contact, or I'll just cold email him, we'll figure that out. But thanks again for coming on. This was so much fun, and I want to thank the chat also, because there were some really great questions there. And I think that pretty much does it for this stream. And it was so much fun.
I just want to add in, if you guys haven't tried one more call to action, try The Price of Freedom. It's a really awesome one. Again, great mix of being interactive, but also driving you through a story at the same time. So I think there's a lot that everyone could learn from it.
Yeah, and whenever Vera comes out, we'll definitely try to get a video out on the channel, because that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that does it for this stream. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video. That helps out a ton, and you can also subscribe. That even helps us out even more. And you can also follow us on social media. We're trying out some previews for these live streams, which I think are going to be a lot of fun, and just we're putting out a bunch of content. So definitely check us out there. And that pretty much does it. So this has been Fuse, man.
I'm Hassan. We have Chuck here from
Thank you.
Construct Studio.
And we're signing out. Sweet. That was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming. That was definitely the most questions that we've got.
All right.